What really happens when a woman senses she no longer has your full attention? Most people assume she'll just walk away without a second thought. But that's not always the case. And today, we're going to break down a powerful truth that a lot of men overlook. A woman doesn't usually react when you leave. She reacts when your focus shifts. And when she feels that shift, it often hits in a deeply personal way. This isn't about playing games. It's not about being cold or calculated. This is about what naturally happens when a man stops centering his entire world around someone else. Not because he's bitter or trying to prove a point, but because he's finally recentering himself. That change in focus, it's subtle, but it's powerful. She can feel it even if you don't say a word. Because to many women, attention isn't just attention, it's information. It tells her where she stands. So when you stop texting back instantly, when you stop chasing approval, or when your emotional energy starts going inward instead of outward, she notices. And whether she says it or not, her mind starts asking questions. Why is he different? Who has his attention now? Did I lose something valuable? If you've ever felt like you gave too much and ended up feeling taken for granted, this is for you. Because sometimes the moment you stop giving everything is the moment she starts seeing you in a completely different light. So let's talk about what often happens next. One of the first things you might notice is that she tries to get that attention back, but not directly. Most women won't come right out and say, "Hey, I miss your energy." Instead, they often use subtle, indirect ways to reconnect. It's not because they're being manipulative, it's because asking directly would mean exposing a part of themselves they're not ready to reveal. Women are emotionally tuned in. They pick up on shifts. They notice when your tone changes, when your energy is different, when your focus is no longer centered on them. And that subtle distance, it creates a feeling of loss. So instead of asking for your attention outright, she may start doing things to bring your focus back without saying it. Maybe she posts a well-curated photo that she knows will catch your eye. Not for her followers, but for you. Maybe she starts bringing up old memories. Remember when we used to stay up all night talking? These aren't random. They're gentle nudges, emotional feelers. She's checking to see if that connection is still there, if you'll notice, if you still care. It's a quiet way of asking, "Do I still matter to you?" without actually saying it. And here's the deeper truth. This all happens not because you pulled away to punish her, but because you've started prioritizing your own life, your purpose, your peace. And when a man does that, not in anger, not in ego, but in truth, people feel it. Especially the ones who once had his full attention. If you've been in this situation, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're in it now, keep going, keep building, because your energy is your most valuable asset. And the moment you stop giving it away to be validated is the moment people start respecting it, even if they don't know why. And sometimes it's not just a photo or a memory. It might be an old inside joke dropped out of nowhere. A seemingly random message, something only the two of you would understand. But these aren't coincidences. They're calculated emotional triggers designed to spark something familiar, to reignite a connection you've quietly withdrawn from. She's hoping you'll feel something and respond like you used to. Not because she wants to manipulate you, but because admitting she misses your attention would make her feel too exposed. Even women who seem completely confident will, at times, act out of insecurity when they sense a man's energy slipping away. They'll start doing more, posting more, reaching out more, being extra nice, just to reassure themselves that they still matter. The problem is, most men don't see these signals for what they really are. They think she's just being friendly, playful, casual, but these moves are rarely random. They're quiet attempts to see if they still hold emotional space in your life. Let's say you stop texting her good morning like you used to. You're not as quick to reply. You're more focused, more grounded. Instead of confronting you, she might send a random wrong person text. or check in with something vague like, "Hey, hope you're doing good." On the surface, it looks harmless, but underneath, it's a soft test. A way to measure whether she still has a presence in your emotional world. And because it's subtle, she gives herself an out. If you ignore it, she can play it off. But if you respond, even just to be polite, it tells her she still has access to a part of you. What you need to understand is this. When a woman starts doing more than she used to, more reaching out, more posting, more engaging, it usually means she's felt a shift. She won't say it outright. She won't admit she wants your energy back, but her actions will speak clearly if you know what to look for. Now here's the next part most men aren't ready for. Sometimes she doesn't. Try to get your attention back gently. Sometimes she gets angry, not because you mistreated her, but because you changed the emotional dynamic without warning. And that shift, when done quietly and without explanation, can feel like a power loss to someone who was used to being in control of the pace and closeness of the connection. In her mind, she was the one who decided how connected or distant things would be. You were the one who waited, gave, hoped. She didn't have to chase you. She could rely on the fact that you were emotionally available. That felt normal. That felt safe. But when you stopped giving that kind of energy, not out of spite, but out of growth, it throws the balance off. Suddenly she doesn't feel in control anymore, and that's when the anger can show up. Not explosive, obvious anger. Sometimes it's sarcasm, sometimes it's passive-aggressive comments, sometimes it's coldness or emotional distance that comes out of nowhere. You may not have done anything wrong, but the reaction is still real. Because part of her is upset, not just at you, but at the fact that you evolved without asking her permission. You stopped needing her validation. You stopped centering her in your emotional world. You didn't announce it. You just moved forward, and that's what shakes her. Because deep down, she thought you'd always be the one who cared a little more. The one who stayed emotionally locked in, regardless of how things played out. So when that changes, it doesn't just surprise her. It rattles the foundation she thought she had with you. Now, this is where a lot of men slip. They mistake her. Frustration for a signal that they messed up. So they go back, they chase again, they apologize, they try to fix the peace. But what they're really doing is stepping back into a dynamic where they were giving more than they were getting. A dynamic that she may have liked, but didn't fully respect. Here's the truth. Her anger isn't about you pulling back. It's about you breaking the unspoken agreement that you'd always be the one holding it all together. The one always proving, chasing, checking in. And when that stops, it flips the emotional script. So what do? You stay grounded, you keep moving forward. You don't fight her emotions, but you don't fold to them either. Because the man who can remain calm, focused, and purpose-driven in the face of emotional tension becomes someone who's no longer easy to overlook. He becomes someone she has to respect, someone she begins to see not as an option, but as a standard. And in the end, it's not about proving anything to her. It's about proving to yourself that your peace, your growth, and your purpose are not negotiable. 3, she starts watching you. When a woman senses that she's no longer the center of your attention, something shifts. Even if she plays it cool on the surface, deep down, she's watching everything. Your habits, your energy, your mood. She's observing in silence, noticing things you probably don't even realize have changed. You might think she's moved on or doesn't care anymore, but often that's far from the truth. In fact, the moment your attention starts fading, her curiosity spikes. Why? Because people tend to want what they no longer feel in control of. And once you stop giving her that consistent emotional access she once had, she starts to notice every small difference. She's paying attention to who you're spending time with, how often you're online, if your tone feels different, if you seem more focused, happier, more distant. She's trying to figure out if you're really moving on or just pulling back temporarily. This isn't always about love or even missing you. It's often about something deeper, validation. Your attention once reassured her. It reminded her that she was desired, chosen, important. But when that energy disappears, her sense of security starts to shake. And what do people do when they feel insecure? They monitor. That's human nature. This is where many men get confused. They notice she's watching again, liking a post, lurking their stories, maybe casually showing up in their orbit. And they assume it means she wants to reconnect. So they re-engage, thinking it's a green light. But here's the hard truth. Just because she's watching doesn't mean she's ready to invest. Sometimes she just wants to know she still matters, that she still has some kind of emotional impact. That's why emotional discipline is so critical. Because when she sees you thriving, leveling up, focusing on yourself, no longer reacting like you used to, it creates uncertainty. She doesn't know where she stands anymore. And that unknown pulls her attention in a way your constant availability never could. She may never congratulate you on your growth. She won't clap when you evolve. But make no mistake, she's watching. She feels the shift. She sees you differently, even if she never says it. 4, she pretends not to care at all. This might be one of the most confusing reactions a man can face. You stop giving attention, and instead of reacting, she goes silent. No questions, no emotion, just complete indifference. Or at least that's what it looks like. But let's be real, when someone who once enjoyed your presence suddenly acts like it doesn't matter, that's not detachment, that's defense. It's self-protection, because showing that she cares would mean admitting something changed. And for many people, especially when pride is involved, that's not an easy thing to do. So instead, she acts unfazed. She convinces herself, and maybe even tries to convince you, that your attention wasn't that meaningful. But deep down, it was. That cool girl attitude, it's often just a shield, and a lot of men get thrown off by this. They start questioning themselves, wondering if maybe she never cared in the first place. But pretending not to care is a move. It's a strategy to hold on to control. If she doesn't react, she doesn't risk appearing vulnerable. She doesn't risk you seeing that your absence had an impact. This is when mental strength matters, because if you fall for the performance, you'll start chasing again just to get a reaction, to confirm you still matter. And that's the trap. Her silence isn't proof that she's over it. It's often proof that she doesn't want to show how affected she actually is. Vulnerability can feel like weakness to someone who's trying to protect their ego, especially if they never expected you to be the one who pulled back first. The moment she has to act indifferent, she's already reacting. The shift has already been felt. You don't need her to say it. The absence of your energy says more than any conversation ever could. So hold your line. Don't try to force clarity. Let her have her performance, because what she's not receiving anymore is quietly doing the work for you. 5, she starts comparing herself to other women. This is one of the most overlooked reactions. When a woman realizes your focus is no longer on her, something begins to stir beneath the surface. She starts comparing, not always consciously, but it happens. She begins wondering who's getting the attention she used to have, who you're texting, who you're following, who's in your orbit now. And that comparison doesn't come from jealousy, it comes from uncertainty. Because your attention, when it was freely given, provided a sense of validation. It told her she was chosen, she was the one. And when that stops, her mind starts asking hard questions. What does the new girl have that I don't? Why did he stop choosing me? Where do I stand now? Even if she appears confident, even if she pretends she's unbothered, the internal dialogue is happening. She may start watching your social media more closely, noticing the women you interact with, or even looking back at your past relationships to see if she stacked up. But here's what you need to remember. It's not really about those other women. It's about her own self-perception, her own need to re-establish where she fits in your world. And that discomfort only grows when she sees you leveling up, hitting the gym, dressing better, improving your mindset, surrounding yourself with high-value people. She starts to question if she would even be your choice now. That's what really stings. Because deep down, everyone wants to feel like they were the best part of your story. That if given the chance, you'd still choose them again. But when your energy no longer flows her way, that illusion starts to fall apart. And the more she sees you growing without her, the more she wonders if she still belongs in the version of you that's evolving. Most of the time, she won't admit any of this. She'll mask it with pride. But the comparison still happens. And if she's watching and measuring herself against others, now that you're no longer chasing, it only proves one thing. Your attention had more value than she realized, and that's the power of the shift. It's not about punishing anyone. It's about elevating yourself to a place where your presence becomes a privilege, not a given. 6. She tests if you'll chase again. When a woman feels your attention has slipped away, one of the first things she wonders is he really done? Or is he just waiting for me to react? The way she finds out, she starts testing you quietly, emotionally, strategically. These aren't loud, dramatic moves. These are subtle signals designed to see if she still has the influence she used to without putting herself in a vulnerable position. She might send a casual message out of nowhere. A "Hey stranger," a late-night check-in, a reaction to your story, just enough to open the door, but never enough to walk through it. Because she's not looking to reconnect fully. She's trying to find out if your attention is still there, ready to be reactivated. It's not about hurting you. It's about testing her own emotional pull. When your attention was consistent, it gave her a sense of reassurance, a sense of control. Now that it's gone, she needs confirmation that she didn't really lose it. And this is where a lot of men fall back into the trap. They see a breadcrumb, a flirty comment, a subtle like, and they react. They chase. They jump right back in like nothing changed. But the moment you do that, you confirm her power is still intact. You tell her, yes, I'm still here, just waiting. If you're serious about growth, about reclaiming your focus and your peace, you have to recognize these for what they are. These are not genuine efforts to rebuild. They are emotional pings, checks, ways for her to feel like she could still get you if she wanted to. And sometimes that's all she really needs, to know she could, not to actually have you. So instead of taking the bait, you hold your line. You respond with composure, not with emotion. You stay grounded, unmoved, because that's when she realizes the version of you that used to chase. He's gone. And no test, no hint, no subtle invite is enough to bring him back. 7. She questions her own value, quietly. This is the part most men never see because it doesn't happen publicly. It doesn't come with a text, a call, or a post. It happens in silence, behind the mask, when she realizes your attention is truly gone, and nothing she does is pulling it back. She begins to reflect, not just on you, but on herself. At first, it's denial. Then come the questions. Why isn't he chasing anymore? What changed? Am I not enough? She may never say it. She might even double down on acting indifferent. But the questions are there, because when your attention was constant, it validated her place in your life. It was an emotional mirror telling her, you matter. And when that mirror disappears, the silence it leaves behind can be deafening. But here's the moment of truth. Most men, sensing this quiet shift, rush back in. They interpret her change in energy as a sign to fix things, to win her back, to ease the tension. And in doing so, they interrupt the most important part of the process, the part where she finally starts to reflect on how she treated you. Stop rescuing her from her own self-awareness. You gave your energy, your time, your consistency. And when it wasn't respected, you stepped back. That space, that pause, is where accountability lives. But the moment you rush in to make things right, you teach her the opposite. You teach her that you'll always come back, that she never really had to change, and that's why so many men stay stuck in cycles of one-sided effort. Because they can't sit in the discomfort of letting someone feel their absence. Listen, you're not doing this out of ego. You're not punishing anyone. You're just finally valuing what you bring. And if she starts questioning herself, let her. Don't interrupt it. Let her sit in the realization that the version of you who gave unconditionally, he's not coming back for free. Sometimes the most powerful move is nothing. No chasing, no explaining, no proving, just peace. So now, you've seen it. The quiet storm that brews when a woman realizes she no longer owns your attention. Not because you ghosted, not because you disrespected her, but because you finally chose yourself. This isn't bitterness, this is clarity. As men, we've been conditioned to overgive, to prove our worth, to chase peace in people who weren't, offering it back. But there comes a point where you wake up and say, enough. Here's the truth most won't say. A woman only truly reflects on your value once she no longer believes she can get it back. Not when you argue, not when you explain, but when she feels the emotional doors close. That's when reality sets in. So to every man watching this, if you've pulled back, if you've seen that shift, if you're choosing yourself for the first time, drop a comment below. Let me know your story. What changed? What you noticed? I read every single one, and I'll be jumping in to build with you, because this isn't just content. This is a conversation. This is a community of men rising up, choosing peace, power, and self-respect. You're not alone in this. And if no one's ever told you before, your energy is valuable.